What actually is intuition? Welcome back to Tarot and Beyond. Today, instead of doing a reading, I wanted to talk about the concept of intuition and what actually is it and how do we connect to it. So, intuition, in my experience, is that still small voice within you, and it can actually present as a voice, like a whisper in the back of your mind, Jiminy Cricket as the conscience, and that kind of thing. Or it can be a feeling that you get through the physical senses and experience within your body. So there's many different layers to the intuition, and what I believe it is actually our ability to subconsciously process information at a higher rate of speed than our conscious mind can do. And as a result, we have additional information that we would not be privy to using the conscious mind alone. The intuition can also use and tap into the psychic abilities. So although everyone has intuition based on the fact that it's subconscious processing that's happening, people who have psychic abilities or who have enhanced their sixth senses are better able to use intuition in a more effective way. What I mean by effective is in a more conscious and intentional way, using the intuition as a barometer of sorts to be able to make decisions, act decisively, and create change or manifest in our lives. So the intuition is much more than just the inner voice or the feeling. It is a tool, a compass, if you will, that helps to guide us through life. And if we can enhance it and tune into it and learn to trust it, we can live better lives. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how to do that. We're not going to go super in depth, but I wanted to give you guys a couple of handy tools that you may or may not already know that may help you to enhance your intuition and strengthen the relationship that you have with spirit. Because your intuition picks up on the metaphysical, on the non-physical realms, on energy, and spirit is constantly communicating through those non-physical means. So the intuition, when tuned correctly, acts like a channel to help us receive the information we need when we need it, and again, to act or respond appropriately. So how do we enhance our intuition? Well, the first thing that we need to do is actually stop and listen. Stop and feel. Stop and observe. Because when we go through life in a very externalized way where we're rushing around, we don't really stop and let our thoughts rest at any point. They're just constantly going, producing, doing. It's really hard to receive. You have to actually get into a more receptive, energetic space, which means stopping, slowing down, and intentionally observing what is going on. Now, it doesn't mean that your mind is going to stop doing at that moment that you decide to stop and observe, but it will help to train your mind and your body to relax and to be more open to receptivity and to the energies that are going on there below the surface. Because we're not usually aware of those energies on a day-to-day basis, this can be really helpful in enhancing your intuitive abilities, because through stopping and tuning in and listening and feeling and sensing, without judgment, just watching, just bringing awareness to these things, it does really help to get you into that vibrational frequency and into the habit of doing that regularly. The more you do it, the more attuned you are going to be to that receptive state, and you can turn it on and off at will throughout your day or whenever you happen to need it. So the first step is really observation, right? We just want to be watching, we just want to be feeling, we just want to be listening, and completely objectively as much as possible. I mean, there's going to be bias of the mind and the ego and all of those things, but if we can observe with curiosity and detach a little bit from the subjective experience of those thoughts or those feelings or those sensations in the body, it can be easier to hone our discernment, which is crucial when we're talking about intuition and using it effectively. So we want to observe, we want to have curiosity, we want to learn to interpret what it is that we're getting at a more conscious level, because the intuition will tell us all of these things at a very subconscious level, And that can help us, right? It's like the person who just feels like there's something wrong and they turn around and go home to find out that later they would have been in a situation in the environment they were heading to that would have been dangerous. And that's the type of non-conscious information that we can respond to instinctually at an unconscious level. But again, if we're going to hone the intuition and use this more intentionally and consciously to guide us through our day-to-day life, then we really need to do this more intentionally and with awareness. So being open to what you're seeing, feeling, hearing, and sensing, and then learning to interpret what that means. So what does this sensation mean in my body? What does this thought mean? What does this feeling mean? This emotion that I'm experiencing? What is this connected to? Why is that being triggered? Why is that coming up within me? And starting to learn to connect the dots. This is when symbolism, imagery, archetypes, and themes become so crucial because they help us to enhance our intuition and eventually later on enhance our psychic abilities as well. So the more that we can understand patterns, the more that we can understand these general underlying themes, the better we're going to be able to interpret what it is that we are feeling, sensing, hearing, etc. This is why I'm such an advocate for tarot and symbolism and oracle cards, is because they use imagery and archetypes and themes to be able to show you patterns. And this gets you familiar working with energy and learning to interpret that for yourself in a more subjective way, while maintaining the detached objectivity of observation. So this is what helps us to start building trust. Now, the only way that we can really fully trust our intuition is if we start to listen to it and follow it. So first step is, of course, observation, being in that receptive mode, getting curious, learning to do these things, and putting those pieces of the puzzle together. But if you don't take action on those or respond to what the intuition is saying in moments of action, then you're not going to really continue to build that trust, and the trust that you did build by stopping and listening and feeling will be eroded. So it is important that a little bit of trial and error can be employed in this next stage, which is being able to take action on what the intuition is giving you and finding out whether through not doing what the intuition told you, but mindfully being aware of that being the message, and then finding out that, oh, yeah, okay, the situation definitely called for me to do what my intuition was telling me, but I didn't. I let my ego decide, and now I'm paying the price. Versus, okay, my intuition feels like it's telling me this. I don't really know why. I'm trying to interpret the symbols or the signs as best I can, but I still don't have full awareness. But with intention, I'm going to trust my intuition in this moment, and I'm going to act in the direction it's calling me to. And then, oh, lo and behold, okay, that ended up working out for me. So you have these sort of context cues or points of reference to help you to trust yourself going forward, whether it was through negative feedback or positive feedback. Either way, you have those cues that help you to remember the next time that you have those intuitive prompts or hits come through. The next step really goes into the expansion of our five senses. And this is what I like to see as kind of like the sixth sense. I don't think that the sixth sense is one sense in particular. I really believe that it is a heightening of the other five senses. And we can see that through the different clairs. So clairvoyance is a heightening of the perception of sight. Clairaudience is a heightening of the perception of sound, or the sensory experience of sound, and so on and so forth. Clairsentience being about heightening physical sensation in the body. And I guess if there was technically a sixth sense, it would be the claircognizance, which comes through the crown chakra and allows us to be able to tune into higher information that is kind of outside of our scope or sphere of physical being. So yes, there is a technical sixth sense, but I think what most people refer to, i.e. clairvoyance, is technically just a heightening of one of those five senses. So if we can heighten those five senses in a way that is grounded and safe, again, establishing trust is crucial, and maintaining that trust through action is also integral to this process, then we can start to really, really expand and work with the intuition in a very, very conscious, intentional, and willfully directed way. So we don't use our ego or our will to direct the intuition. Rather, instead, we use our ego and our will to listen to the intuition and act upon it, just as we did in the trial and error phase, but now we're doing it with the additional information that we're getting from our psychic senses. Let me know if you guys want me to make a video talking about the psychic senses and how to work with each one. Maybe I'll make that a series, or it could be one video, it depends. But let me know if you guys are interested in that. We can go more in depth into that at that point. But for now, I want to keep it fairly simple and just continue with the integration of the intuition and learning to trust that capacity. So, okay, you've gotten to this point where you're aware you have an intuition and what it might feel like when that is giving you information. You're starting to use it a little bit and going through that trial and error process of finding where it's leading you and trusting, taking those little leaps of faith every time the intuition calls you to something, and connecting the dots that have led you into those decisions or have guided you along your path. Good. Now, the next step is doing this every single day. So really making this a priority in terms of, rather than just 1 hour meditation or spiritual practice of that sort, making this an actual daily exercise that you're doing all throughout your day. From the moment that you wake up in the morning, you can intuitively choose the clothes you're going to wear. You can intuitively choose the food that your body is needing from you that day. You can intuitively choose what kind of approach you're going to take in your work, or who you want to interact with, or where you want to go. You can even intuitively choose the route that you want to take to drive to the places that you have to go or want to go. So there's so many different applications of this, and especially when you're learning to enhance your intuition, I very much encourage doing these types of daily habits, because it gets you into the habit and the routine of using your intuition as a lifestyle. Like, it's not something that you just have to use if you're doing a reading, or when you're watching a tarot reading, or when you absolutely need it for self-protection. Like, this should be our constant inner monologue and our constant barometer that's telling us exactly what we need. Just really living life more consciously. You're not living it just from the mind anymore. You're living it from the mind, body, soul. So that's actually what I believe intuition is a combination of those aspects of our Trinity self. And in embodying all of them in that moment, in a habitual way, we're able to better expand our consciousness and live a spiritually aligned and empowered life. So if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know by liking it or comment below. Again, if you want to see that additional information on the psychic abilities, I can for sure make that a separate video or video series. So let me know that in the comments below as well. I hope that you guys enjoyed hearing a little bit more about what the intuition is and how to work with it. If you have any questions, leave those in the comment section below as well. And we will get back to our regularly scheduled pick a card readings in the next video. Bye.